Hello, sir. Am I being audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hi, good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Hi, students. Hi, everyone. Good evening. A very warm welcome to the session from Dr. Vipin Das. He had been our faculty for general medicine and general surgery since we started the institute. And I hope you all will be listening to the session most ardently. And thank you so much, sir, for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looking forward to the session. Thank you.
So we can start, right? So actually, I'm starting with the infection part. General medicine and general surgery, basically, it's a combination of all basic subjects. It's a combination of physiobiochem, it's a combination of patho, oral patho, everything will be in these two topics. So if you are very much thorough with the basic subjects, so it will be very easy to read and study medicine and surgery. So before starting the topic, I request all of you to revise the basic subject and make thorough with the your basic subject like physio, biochem, pathology, pharma, so that it will be very easy to understand the following sessions. So today I am going to discuss regarding the infection. So infection basically will cover up in both surgery and medicine. So the first topic we are going to discuss is that is chickenpox. So chickenpox is actually caused by a varicella virus. So it's a and reactivation of varicella causes shingles, that is herpes zoster. So chickenpox is caused by varicella and reactivation of varicella causes shingles or herpes zoster. So you should try to understand the difference. Okay. So and the another important thing is that there is no animal reservoir for this chicken pox. And coming to the incubation period regarding incubation period, we will have a detailed discussion in the medicine class also, and also in the microbiology class also. So here, exposure to varicella virus, and before the prodromal sign, it will be an incubation period of around 21 days. So just after the prodromal signs like fever and fatigue, there will be the rash appears. The rash will be in a that from that it calls the infectious disease. So that is the infectious period. So when the first rash appears, that will be a papule, then it will become papule. Then it will become vesicle. Later, it shut off like a crust. So after the crust formation and when it shut off, that is the complete resolution of the disease. So the incubation period will be around 21 days, and the disease will have a prodromal sign followed by a rash appears, and after the crust shut off, there will be complete resolution. So that is regarding chickenpox. And the rash appears on second day after prodromal syndrome. It's already discussed. And the important thing is that the first appears on trunk. So it is centripetal in distribution. So chickenpox first appears on the trunk, so it is centripetal in distribution. And moreover, the new lesions appear over a period of 2 to 4 days. So the things to remember that the rashes appears after the prodromal signs, and it has a centripetal distribution. And the new lesion appears over a period of 2 to 4 days. Okay. So that is regarding chickenpox. And what about the treatment part? The drug of choice is acyclovir. The drug of choice is acyclovir. The next one is measles, or otherwise known as rubeola. Here, the lesion begins on 4th day. In chickenpox, it is 2nd day. Here, it is lesion begins on 4th day. And the maculopapular lesion starts from hairline, behind the ears, then towards the trunk. In chickenpox, it appears first on the trunk, but here in measles, the lesion appears from hairline, behind the ears, then towards the trunk. And the Koplik spots seen in buccal mucosa. The Koplik spots is seen in buccal mucosa. That is a very important question for our exams. So you can see this is the Koplik spot on buccal mucosa. Nowadays, there are lots of other picture-based questions is also coming. So you should try to remember the pictures which we are going to present in this class. Okay. And what about these Koplik spot? They are the 1 to 2 mm bluish white with the erythematous halo on buccal mucosa opposite to upper second molar, and appears 2 to 3 days before the rash and disappear after the typical rash. So the Koplik spots are seen in the initial stages. They are bluish white with the erythematous halo. They are erythematous halo on buccal mucosa opposite to upper second molar. So that is regarding Koplik spots. And the measles causes pneumonia leading to death. And the most common complication is otitis media. The most common complication following measles is otitis media. And it causes, in some cases, it causes pneumonia leading to death. And the Warthin-Finkeldy cells are seen in measles. Okay, so remember the small key points. Warthin-Finkeldy cells are seen in measles. Next one is rubella. Rubella is otherwise known as German measles. The maculopapular rash starts on the face, then towards the trunk. It's almost like measles also. So the German measles is what is maculopapular rash starts on the face, then towards the trunk. And the Fosh-Riemer spots is seen in soft palate. Koplik spots seen in buccal mucosa. Fosh-Riemer spots seen in soft palate. So try to remember the sites. Okay. So this is Fosh-Riemer spots. They are seen also in, you try to remember as GSM. GSM means German measles, scarlet fever, and mononucleosis. Okay, so the Fosh-Riemer spots are seen in GSM. G stands for German measles, S stands for scarlet fever, M stands for mononucleosis. So, what's the difference between Fosh-Riemer spots and 4-day spots? Try to remember oral pathology. What is 4-day spots? They are ectopic sebaceous gland on the buccal mucosa seen normally healthy people without erythematous halo. Okay, the 4-day spots are actually ectopic sebaceous gland on buccal mucosa seen in normally healthy people without erythematous halo. Okay, so these are the difference between 4-day spot, Fosh-Riemer spots, and Koplik spots. And one of the complications is polyarthritis. Rubella causes polyarthritis. And in rubella in early pregnancy, it causes spontaneous abortion, sometimes deafness, and congenital diseases like patent ductus arteriosus and atrial septal defect. So in rubella in early pregnancy is very dangerous. It causes spontaneous abortion, deafness, congenital diseases like patent ductus arteriosus and atrial septal defect. And one of the most common complication is polyarthritis. So in measles, it is otitis media. Here, it is in early pregnancy, it causes spontaneous abortion, and one of the other complication is polyarthritis. And mumps. What do you mean by mumps? It's a bilateral swelling, okay, with the fever. So the incubation period is, again, it is 16 to 18 days. And it causes fever, headache, muscle ache, tiredness, loss of appetite. And the important clinical feature is swollen tender salivary glands under the ears or on one or both sides. Normally it is parotitis. Normally it is parotitis. So one of the most common feature of mumps is bilateral parotitis. And mumps spreads when an infected person coughs or sneezes. The mumps can be spread before swollen glands appear and after 5 days afterwards. Okay. And so it causes bilateral parotitis swelling with fever and malaise. In children, it causes aseptic meningitis. So in mumps, in children causes aseptic meningitis. And what about in adolescent? In adolescent, it causes oophorytis. So what is this oophorytis? Oophorytis is what? It's an inflammation of ovaries. Also, it causes urticatis. What do you mean by urticatis? It's an inflammation of one or both testicles. So it's basically inflammation of ovary and the inflammation of testicle. Okay, so in adolescent, it causes oophorytis and urticatis. And regarding the vaccine, it is MMR vaccine, that is measles, mumps, and rubella virus vaccine. So just remember the vaccine name also. So we will come to this vaccine schedule in our medicine class. We will elaborate this in the coming classes. Next one is typhoid. Actually, the typhoid is it's caused by typhoid mairie. Actually, this is spread through fecal-oral spread. Okay. So at the end of the first week of infection, the rashes appear on upper abdomen. So where the rash appears, it appears on the upper abdomen. That is typhoid. Okay. And they are known as rose red spot. So it fades on pressure. And one of the complications of the typhoid is it causes paralytic ileus. So it causes paralytic ileus. So the rash appears on the abdomen. They are called rose red spot. And the complication here is paralytic ileus. So this is called, and sometimes it causes ulcers in the intestine. Sometimes it causes ulcers in the intestine, and later it leads to perforation. Later it leads to perforation of the intestine. So that is another complication. And the next one is syphilis. So you can see this syphilis. Punched out painless chancre, punched out ulcer. You can see this also, that is in the congenital syphilis. And it is classified into primary, secondary, tertiary syphilis. So what do you mean by primary syphilis? The primary syphilis is that it is painless chancre, and it is punched out also with the indurated edges. So the painless chancre, and the other thing is that it has the punched out also with the indurated edges. Okay. So you can see the chancre on this patient. And what about secondary syphilis? So it causes maculopapular rash on trunk and the condyloma lata, that is you can see in this picture, and the snail track also, that is you can see in the picture, that is it looks like a snail track, and the salt and pepper scars on the retina. So these are the features which are typically seen in secondary syphilis, that is the maculopapular rash on the trunk, condyloma lata on the condyloma lata, and the snail track also, that is on the buccal mucus, you can see in the picture, and the salt and pepper scars on the retina. That is regarding secondary syphilis. The primary syphilis, it is the painless punched out chancre. In secondary syphilis, it is maculopapular rash, condyloma lata, snail track also, and salt and pepper scars on retina. The salt and pepper appearance on the X-ray, that is seen in thalassemia. Remember, the salt and pepper appearance on the X-ray is seen in thalassemia also. So when you are studying, when you are come across with similar questions, try to remember both question and its answers also. Okay. And the secondary syphilis is very highly infectious. The secondary syphilis, this stage is very highly infectious. So you can see the genital warts. Okay. And in the tertiary syphilis, both serious and neurosensory system is affected. So what is seen in serious? That is, you can see aortitis or aortic aneurysm or aortic incompetence. So aorta is most commonly affected. So in tertiary syphilis, the most commonly affected part is aorta, that is serious part. You can see either an aortic aneurysm or an aortitis or aortic incompetence. So, and the neuro part, it causes tabes dorsalis or involving the vertebrae or meningeal involvement. So in tertiary syphilis, both serious and neurosensory system is affected. In serious, it mainly affected aorta, that is the aortic aneurysm, aortitis, and aortic incompetence. In neuro, it mainly affects the vertebra, that is, it causes tabes dorsalis and meningeal involvement. You can see in this picture, tabes dorsalis. So the pathogenesis is pathophysiology. It is infection with the Trypanomia pallidum. It causes primary syphilis, that is the chancre, and the secondary syphilis, that is the generalized lymphadenopathy, rash appearance, condyloma lata, and there will be a latent syphilis. Later, it can lead to tertiary syphilis. So in some time, it causes gummatic reaction, that is granulation tissue. Okay. So what do you mean by this gamma? Gamma is actually a soft tumor-like growth of the tissue. It's known as granuloma that occurs in patients with the syphilis. So you can see in this picture. So gamma is seen in tertiary syphilis. And coming to the congenital syphilis. So the congenital syphilis, when you are talking about the congenital syphilis, you have to remember this triad, that is the Hutchinson's triad. So what are they? Actually, it is interstitial keratitis, mulberry molar, and notched incisor. Interstitial keratitis, mulberry molar, and notched incisor. And it also causes ruggedness, hypoplastic upper jaw, frontal parietal bone bossing. Also, you can see this ruggedus appearance in this child and Schaeber-Shin appearance in this X-ray, and Clutton joints. You can see like in this picture, Clutton's joint, saddle nose appearance in this picture, and sabre tibia. So these are the features of congenital syphilis. Hutchinson's triad, ruggedus appearance, hypoplastic upper jaw, that is class 3 appearance, frontal bossing or parietal bone bossing, bulging of these two bones, frontal and parietal, Clutton's joint, saddle nose, sabre tibia, and Schaeber-Shin appearance. So these are the clinical features of congenital syphilis. And one of the features in this congenital syphilis is that is Argyll-Robertson pupil. They are the bilateral small pupil that constrict when the person focuses on near object but do not constrict when exposed to bright light. So that is known as Argyll-Robertson pupil. So remember the term, the Argyll-Robertson pupil is seen in, remember it is congenital syphilis, not primary, tertiary, secondary. It is Argyll-Robertson pupil that is seen in congenital syphilis. So this is a nutshell of congenital syphilis. Bumberger's sign, that is also seen in congenital syphilis. So the test for syphilis is VDRL. It's a screening test for syphilis. It measures the subcutaneous, measures the substances called antibodies, which your body may produce if you have come in contact with the bacteria that causes syphilis. Okay, so it is an antibody test, or it is otherwise a screening test for syphilis. And coming to the tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is very common in India, and it is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So it contains Ghon focus and Ghon complex. So we will explain to the disease in the classes. But then, what do you mean by this Ghon focus? Ghon focus is a subpleural focus in primary TB. That is the granuloma with the central caseation. That is, this is the Ghon focus. So Ghon focus plus regional lymph node involvement is called Ghon complex. Okay, it's basically same in the lower lobes. So Ghon focus plus the regional lymph node involvement is called Ghon's complex. Okay. And the screening test for syphilis is VDRL, and the screening test for tuberculosis is Mandel's test. Okay, so you can see the you can see like this. So if there is no induration, it is called as negative, or if there is an induration following this Mandel's test, it is called positive. So yes, these are the interpretations of Mandel's test. We will explain in the class. So this primary lesion can extend to form a progressive pulmonary tuberculosis. And when it spreads to pleura, it results in pleural effusion. And if it is blood-borne spread, it causes biliary tuberculosis. The pleural effusion is if it is spreads into the pleura. So, and biliary tuberculosis if it is through blood. Or if it is direct infiltration, it is called progressive pulmonary tuberculosis. So biliary tuberculosis is blood-borne spread. That is the intake of this slide. And what do you mean by scrofula? Scrofula is actually the TB of skin and cervical lymph node. You can see in this picture, scrofula is actually the TB of skin and cervical lymph node. The next one, the lupus vulgaris. Lupus vulgaris is a cutaneous TB associated with the underlying active lesion. So lupus vulgaris is a cutaneous TB associated with underlying active lesion. And one of the important findings is it is characterized by apple jelly nodules. Okay, so lupus vulgaris is associated with apple jelly nodules. You can see in this picture apple jelly nodules seen in lupus vulgaris. And if it involves a vertebrae, it's called Pott's disease. So if it involves a vertebrae, it's called the Pott's disease. Okay. You can see the pod spine in the picture. So, there are two types of, sorry. And the next one is leprosy. So, leprosy is basically two types. The one is tubercular leprosy and the other one is lepromatous leprosy. So what is the difference between these two types of leprosy? So leprosy basically causes loss of sensation in the peripheral regions, causing ulcer in region because it doesn't give any pain sensation. Okay, and the tubercular leprosy has a restricted pathogenic growth. Lepromatous leprosy has a extensively spread lesion. So try to remember the lepromatous leprosy. So the lepromatous leprosy is extensively spread because it has a poor cell-mediated immunity. So since it is extensively spread, it is the most severe stage. So lepromatous leprosy has a poor cell-mediated immunity. So it is most severe and also it is extensively spread all over the body. Since it has a very poor, very severe stage, it involves relatively higher bacterial load. So lepromatous leprosy spreads all over body due to poor cell-mediated immunity. Since it has a very high bacterial load, it is the most severe stage. Okay. And what about scarlet fever? Scarlet fever is caused by group A streptococci seen in younger stage and contact with the infected people. You can see the sandpaper rash over the trunk of extremities, strawberry tongue, and the patient will have fever, pharyngitis, and cervical lymphadenopathy. These are the clinical features of scarlet fever. So they have the diffuse erythematous rash, blanching on pressure occur. Pastia lines. This is very important. Pastia lines are seen in scarlet fever. Pastia lines are seen in scarlet fever. What are they? They are the transverse red streaks in skin fold. They are the transverse red streak in skin fold. Skin fold. Okay. So you can see the pastia lines in the picture and has the strawberry tongue. That is a very characteristic of scarlet fever. It has the strawberry tongue. So with this, we are going to conclude the topic. So I will have 3-4 questions from this small topic. So the tertiary syphilis frequently involved which one? Yes, very good response. So that is the aorta. Okay, so some books it is written as CNS, but it is aorta. Okay. So we have discussed regarding congenital syphilis, that is Hutchinson's triad we have discussed. and the different features, that is saddle nose, sabra tibia, regadus, and frontal bossing, everything we have discussed. And the typical features of congenital syphilis and Wibberger sign, that is also mentioned in the class. We will detail these things in our coming sessions. And the primary syphilis we have discussed, and the pathophysiology, infection with the Treponema pallidum, primary syphilis, secondary syphilis. Later it jumped into a latent syphilis. If it is further progresses, it causes tertiary syphilis. Remember the gamma, that is the granuloma lesion in the soft tissue, cardiovascular syphilis, and the neurological complications. What are the neurological complications in syphilis? Can you name one? Neurological complication. I have put a picture. That is tabes dorsalis. Okay, so that is, yes, very nice, very nice, very good response. That is tabes dorsalis. So, and the second is which is the most infectious disease, infectious stage, that is secondary syphilis. Okay, then what about the Argyll-Robertson people? That is seen in this syphilis. So syphilitic aortitis and aortic aneurysm, aortitis and aneurysm formation, everything we have discussed. So the tertiary syphilis frequently involved, that is, answer is aorta, which is not a characteristic of congenital syphilis. What is the answer? Very good, Jairaj, Shifa, Prakriti, Maunika, everyone good, Hemant, Ambli, Tirtha. Yes, very good. So then, Gons complex is seen in which disease? Gons complex. Yes, very good, very good. That is TB. So, what are this triad called? Interstitial keratitis, mulberry molas, nose incisor. Then, what is that triad? That is Hutchinson's triad. Okay, so we have discussed regarding Gons complex and Gons focus. Yes, very good, Jairaj, Ambli, very good. So it is Gons complex. So the tuberculosis lymphadenitis of the cervical lymph nodes. Cervical lymph node is called. So what is the answer? What is this? This is lupus vulgaris. Okay. So what is the question here? Tuberculosis of cervical lymph node, that is the scrofula. And Pott's disease is actually affecting the vertebra. And lupus vulgaris is the cutaneous TB with an underlying active lesion. And what is the peculiarity of lupus vulgaris? That is the apple jelly nodules. Okay. Then, Forsheimmer spot seen in. The fourth question, Forsheimmer spot is seen in. Yes, that is seen on which part? That is in the soft palate. Measles is, which spot is seen? Measles. Yes, Koplik spot. Very good response. Very good response. And typhoid, have you remember any spot in typhoid? Typhoid. Yes, very good. That is red spot, rose red spot. On which part? That is in the abdomen. Okay. So you have to remember all those things. We will come to that in detail in our classes. The Koplik spot seen in measles, Schaffner's dot seen in malaria, Bitoid spot seen in vitamin A deficiency, and the rough spot seen in infective endocarditis, raw spot that is seen the typhoid that is seen on the abdomen, Hubbard's knot that is seen in osteoarthritis, Warthin-Finkelty spot that is in rubella and measles. So we'll come to these things in our classes regarding all the rot spots, Litten spots or Litten sign, and Bytord spot that is in the vitamin A deficiency, Schaffner's dots that is seen in malaria, Hubbard's knots. We'll come to these things in detail in our classes. Okay, so Litten spots, rubiola, we have discussed all those things. Okay, and coming to the ordinary measles, German measles, and what about Roseola infantum? It's actually a exanthem subuntum. Actually, this affects the young children caused by human herpes virus. So rubella, Roseola infantum. So there are lots of confusing facts in medicine. Okay, so you try to remember all those things. That there is actually no shortcut to study medicine. You have to revise the subject again, and again. Then only you can catch that small topics, small MCQs. If you are able to tackle these MCQs, I'm sure you can. It's very easy for you to study the medicine. Okay. So the answer is rubella. So with that, I'm going to conclude today's class. So thank you so much for your response. So we will hopefully we'll meet in our coming classes. So wish you all the very best. Thank you. Thank you for your response, for listening. Okay, thank you. Good night. Good night.